On March 7th, 1965, a woman walked to the front of a line of 600 marchers. She could see what was coming. A wall of state troopers, shoulder to shoulder, blocking the road ahead. Gas masks on their faces, billy clubs in their hands, cattle prods at their sides. She did not stop. She did not turn back. She walked forward, and they beat her unconscious on that bridge. A newspaper photograph of her body, crumpled, bleeding, alone on the pavement, ran on the front page of papers across the country and around the world. That photograph changed America. But here is what they never told you. Amelia Boynton Robinson did not become a civil rights leader on that bridge. She had been fighting for your right to vote for over 30 years before they ever laid a hand on her, and most of you have never heard her name. Amelia Isadora Platts was born on August 18, 1911 in Savannah, Georgia. She was one of 10 children raised in a family where education was not optional. It was survival. Her father, George, owned a wholesale woodlot. Her mother, Anna, was a seamstress. And when Anna wasn't working, she was knocking on doors in black communities across rural Georgia, taking women to the polls, fighting for the right to vote. She brought 10-year-old Amelia with her every time. That little girl watched her mother do the work nobody asked her to do. The unglamorous work, the door-to-door, show up in the rain. Nobody is watching work, and it became the model for everything that followed. Amelia went on to attend Georgia State Industrial College and then Tuskegee University, graduating with a degree in home economics. In 1929, she came to Selma, Alabama as a home demonstration agent for the United States Department of Agriculture. She was there to teach rural black families better farming techniques. But Amelia Boynton had a different definition of demonstration. When Amelia arrived in Selma in 1929, she found a city that was 50% black and nearly completely silent. Not because black people in Selma had nothing to say, because the system had made sure their voices could not reach anyone who mattered. Literacy tests designed to fail, poll taxes designed to exclude, a Dallas County Voters League so dormant it barely existed. Amelia and her husband Samuel Boynton, who she met in Selma and married in 1936, got to work. They used their government positions to do something radical for the time. They told the truth, in rural churches, in people's homes, at kitchen tables. They showed black Alabamians how to fill out registration forms, how to present themselves at the registration office, how to navigate a system designed to stop them at every turn. They ran an insurance agency, a real estate office, and an employment agency, all serving black communities throughout southern Alabama that no one else would serve. Their office carried a sign in the window that read, "A voteless people is a hopeless people." That was not a slogan. That was a warning. And Amelia Boynton spent 30 years proving it true. In 1963, Samuel Boynton died. He had given everything to this work. And when Amelia stood at his funeral, she did not grieve quietly. She rallied. She told the people gathered around her husband's casket, "We are not done." The following year, 1964, Amelia Boynton did something no black woman had ever done in the state of Alabama. She ran for Congress on the Democratic ticket in the Deep South, in the middle of Jim Crow. Her campaign motto was the same sign that had hung in her office for years. A voteless people is a hopeless people. She did not win. But in a district where only 5% of registered voters were black, she earned 10% of the total vote. She had just proved that a black woman could run for Congress in Alabama and force white voters to reckon with her existence. And she was just getting started. In early 1965, Amelia Boynton invited Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to come to Selma. Her home on Lapsley Street became their headquarters. People running in and out at all hours. Plans being made at her kitchen table. The movement taking shape in her living room. On March 7th, 1965, Amelia Boynton walked to the front of the line. 600 marchers behind her. The Edmund Pettus Bridge ahead. Montgomery, the state capital, 54 miles away. I saw in front of us a solid wall of state troopers standing shoulder to shoulder. The troopers ordered the marchers to turn back. The marchers did not turn back. What happened next was broadcast into living rooms across America. State troopers charged into the crowd with billy clubs and tear gas. Over 70 people were beaten, 17 hospitalized, and Amelia Boynton Robinson was left unconscious on the pavement, beaten and gassed and left for the world to see. The photograph of her body on that bridge ran on front pages across the country. It ran in international newspapers. It was seen by millions of people who had been able to look away from Selma until that moment. They could not look away anymore. President Lyndon B. Johnson went on national television 2 days later. He called for voting rights legislation. He used the words of the movement in his speech, and on August 6, 1965, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law. Amelia Boynton Robinson was there as a guest of honor. By March 1966, 1 year after Bloody Sunday, the number of registered black voters in Selma had grown from 300 to 11,000. 300 to 11,000 in 1 year, because one woman refused to turn back on that bridge. Here is the part that should make you angry. Before 2014, Before the film Selma brought her story to a new generation, Amelia Boynton Robinson was largely absent from the history books. The photographs existed. The historical record existed. But her name, her decades of work before that bridge, the 30 years of organizing in church basements and people's kitchens, was not in the curriculum. History remembered the men on that bridge. History remembered the legislation. But the woman whose home was the headquarters, the woman who invited King to Selma, the woman who had been fighting since 1929, before most of the famous names of the movement were even born, she was a footnote. That is not an accident. That is a pattern. Black women built this movement from the ground up. And the ground is exactly where history tried to keep their names. In 2015, at the age of 103, Amelia Boynton Robinson crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge one final time. This time she was in a wheelchair. This time the President of the United States was at her side. This time 50,000 people lined that bridge to honor her. Barack Obama held her hand as they crossed. John Lewis, who had been beaten on that same bridge 50 years before, walked beside her. She died 4 months later on August 26, 2015, 104 years old. And her son Bruce said it simply. Civil rights was her life. That was her entire life. That is what she was completely taken with. And here is what Amelia Boynton Robinson herself said. Words that belong to every single person watching this right now. It is important that young people know about the struggles we face to get to the point we are today. Only then will they appreciate the hard-won freedom of Black people in this country. She spent 104 years earning the right to say that. The least we can do is listen. Drop in the comments right now. Did you know Amelia Boynton Robinson's name before this video? Because hidden Black legacy exists for one reason: to make sure the women who built this movement are never a footnote again. Subscribe. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this name, because the work Amelia started in 1929 is not finished yet, and neither are we.